This episode of Nerdist News is sponsored by Tor Books. Aquaman's got a brand new old look. Here's what it means for the DC Cinematic Universe. The doors to Comic-Con 2018 opened last night, sending a tidal wave of fans crashing onto the show floor of the San Diego Convention Center, and anyone fishing for first looks at all the coolest upcoming toys, clothes, and collectibles that pop culture has to offer was not disappointed. There were amazing offerings from Star Wars, Marvel, Transformers, and pretty much any other thing your nerdy little heart could desire. But maybe the biggest catch of the night was this life-size Lego Aquaman, and not just because a life-size Jason Momoa crafted from any building material would get our attention. No, what really caught our eye were those eye-popping colors, green and orange, really making a statement, and that statement is, we're going retro. Yes, that is contemporary Aquaman in his old-school Super Friends color scheme, but we know what you guys are thinking. That just has to be a Comic-Con goof, right? A little bit of fun for the kids walking the show floor. There's no way the Aquaman movie is going to put Momoa in those dated diving duds. Well, think again, because that wasn't the only place that we saw the old-school threads. It was all over the floor. Official action figures, small-scale statues over at the DC booth, and even in the ultra-realistic sideshow collectible statues that you have to blow your entire con budget on, which means that it seems like we can officially say that when Aquaman swims into theaters this December, he'll be doing it in his classic costume despite the leather pants that we saw in the first official poster earlier this week. But what does that mean for the larger DCEU? Well, on the surface, it would seem to mean absolutely nothing. Comic book movies love cycling through characters' various costume iterations from film to film. Just take a look at Tony Stark and whatever millionth mark of the Iron Man suit they're on over at Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. But then again, Aquaman isn't your average superhero. The popular consensus about Aquaman over the years has been that he's, for lack of a better phrase, super lame. A campier, kitschier hero who you only called into action if the only way to save the world involved talking to fish.
I hear you can talk to fish.
And that was a reputation the DCEU worked really hard to get rid of, transforming him into a bourbon-swilling badass who was so cool he thought Batman sucked, and he definitely wasn't defending the seven seas in green and orange tights. Nope, the only costume the DCEU Aquaman needed was a pair of wet jeans and a whole bunch of body tats, so putting him back in that old costume definitely seems like they're making a statement about the future of their big screen superheroes. The DCEU has been paving a new course for their A-listers for a while now. Ever since the huge success of Wonder Woman and the relative disappointment of Justice League, they've been tiptoeing away from the grim and gritty aesthetic that was established early on with movies like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and moving forward with lighter ones like next year's kid-friendly Shazam and a retro Aquaman seems like an even more extreme move towards that sensibility. Add to that this first look pic of Aquaman riding a sea dragon, aka a badass-looking seahorse, and you get the picture. This movie is leaning into the fun that Arthur Curry promises. It's worth noting that the original version of Aquaman in the films was conceived by Zack Snyder, and this project started production way before the disappointment of Justice League. The Aquaman movie really felt like the last gasp of the old era of the DCEU, but now it may not be. Now he may be going through another big transformation, turning him into the fish-befriending defender that we all know and love. But what do you folks think? Do you like Aquaman's retro look, or will you miss those sexy wet jeans? Let's discuss. This episode is brought to you by Tor Books, America's #1 publisher of science fiction and fantasy. Read Vicious by V.E. Schwab, New York Times bestselling author of A Darker Shades of Magic, and get caught up in the thrilling story of two enemies on a superpowered quest for revenge. And get ready for the sequel, Vengeful, coming this September. Follow at Tor Books for more details. Also, join Alpha today for all this and more. Exclusive Nerdist, Geek and Sundry and Alpha-only shows, plus amazing parties, VIP access, and even a discount code on merch. Use code SDCC18 for a free 90-day trial today.